welcome everyone to the first edition of Civic Duty. My name is Hugh Furrow, and I'm your host, co-host, or man on the side, God on the side, whatever you like to call me. I'm excited. You know, we talked about this a lot, and we talked about many avenues, many ways to bring issues and topics to the city of Wilmington, state of Delaware, counties, Newcastle, Sussex, many different counties. Wasn't really sure how we were going to do it, so I sat back one day. We sat and talked to Aben. What's up, Aben?
What's up?
And we came up with an idea possibly to do a podcast. We just felt like it was our civic duty. And I wanted to make sure that we define civic so people hopefully can have an understanding of where we're coming from, what we're trying to do. Civic defined as relating to a city or town, especially its administration or municipal. So what we wanted to do here basically was to talk about issues in our city, possibly in our county, and actually do our civic duty as people, as taxpayers, to bring issues to the city of Wilmington and talk about them, discuss them, no bias, nothing like that. We just want to bring the information, let you see the information, hear the information. This is an exciting time. I'm somewhat kind of speechless. I don't want to overstep my boundaries as far as talking and everything. So I want to bring in someone, my uncle. I call him Unc. We call him Unc, but I've known this gentleman all my life. And he brought a lot of issues and topics and things to my attention concerning our city council, or just our city of Wilmington, just things that I feel as though we should talk about it. It's important to talk about this, y'all. We need to talk more and get things out, more communication, so that we as taxpayers are not left in the dark concerning where our money goes, and just actually being fair to everyone and everybody in the city of Wilmington. So I want to say, what's up, Unc?
Thank you, Hugh. My name is Dion Wilson. I'm affectionately called Uncle D by the young guys, not like that. But the situation in Wilmington is dire at this point. I'm here to speak about the city council and the government and what really makes it work. But I'd like to begin today by mentioning one word: gentrification. Gentrification is a process of renovating deteriorated urban neighborhoods by means of influx of more affluent residents. This is a common and controversial topic in urban planning. Gentrification is a general term for the arrival of wealthier people in an existing urban district. Certain things happen when the wealthier people come in. The rents go up, the property values go up, and people are displaced. And this is going on in Wilmington at an alarming rate. Several issues have come about over the last year and a half, and everything that happens, we have a mayor in office who's trying to gentrify the city. And there's a lot of arguments going on and different things going, and there's some things I want you to look at from the city council meeting. But before we get to those clips, let me say this. Nothing can be passed in the city of Wilmington without the city council being behind it. And the other day, there was something passed by Howard High School, and the kids in the community fighting over a little piece of land.
What's up, Howard?
So I'm gonna get Brother Ob to run these clips for you so you can see what we're talking about. But first, we have a gentleman speaking named Mr. Penrose Hollis.
For giving me an opportunity to speak tonight. I also want to commend the young folk from Howard High School who did a great job in addressing you this evening. Oftentimes, even adults have a difficult time speaking before legislative bodies. Somehow they feel intimidated, but the young people here from Howard did an excellent job tonight. I want to talk a little bit about open space, whether it be private open space, public open space, whether it be active open space or not. Communities throughout America find open spaces to be part of the quality of life of their communities. And when you're talking about a community that is as dense as the east side of Wilmington, it becomes even more valuable as their quality of life. When you look at most of the east side of Wilmington, where you have a density of more than 20 dwelling units per acre, where you have most of the roads are one way, most of the roads are parked on both sides of the street, it's critically important that public spaces are provided to the public who's paying the taxes for those public spaces. The encroachment on this park that happened however many years ago was an injustice to the people who've invested on the east side for generations. People live on the east side of Wilmington, have lived on the east side of Wilmington for generations. The conversation we're having here tonight would not even be a conversation if we were talking about some of the other parks in the city of Wilmington. If this was Rockford Park, this discussion would never reach this point. The east side of Wilmington has been encroached on in a public space by their government. And using that, because it's happened for this many years, as a justification to continue that encroachment is wrong. The folk on the east side who pay taxes for that park should be not locked out of that park. It is the responsibility of the district to provide adequate turf training for the kids who are in the district schools. It is not the responsibility of the citizens who live in a very, very congested area of the city to have to sacrifice the little bit of open space that they have. The city of Wilmington, in my opinion, in a lot of ways, are going in a direction that I'm not very pleased with. We're banning certain people from this city.
30 seconds.
We're not denying certain people from being in Rockford Park, and now we're going to lock up a park and give it to a private entity. It is dead wrong on its face. I don't know how you get to this point, but you need to reverse the decision, work with this district to find adequate space for these kids, and do not encroach on these people on this public space. And I believe that you are heading in the wrong direction, and I hope you would reverse your direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Wow.
As we just heard Penrose Howard speak, I'd like to say now, when the gentleman leaves the room, within 2 minutes he's attacked.
Attacked him?
Yes, he's attacked. A gentleman named, I think, Tom Ogden, ex-police officer, 6'4", 6'5". Mr. Hollis is only like 80 years old, probably 150 pounds. He was physically attacked to the point, well, the man didn't touch him, but it was terroristic threatening.
It sounds like maybe some verbal abuse.
Yes, he called a man out of his name. I'm not going to say it, even though we were on a podcast when he called him. And he put his finger in the man's face, and this was in the eyes of many people.
Wow.
And nothing has happened. There's been nothing in the newspapers about it. That no one's even talking about it.
So, do you think the situation? It sounded like he was talking about one of the oldest parks, maybe on the side of the east side. Could you explain a little bit about what possibly is going on down there? Like, give the people a understanding of maybe why this gentleman chose to verbally abuse him after. You know, I heard it in the speak, but could you just clean it up a little bit for us?
Well, what I'm going to do at this point, I would like for everybody else to listen to two more people. We have a city councilman, Sam Guy. He speaks to this issue, and then Vash Turner will speak to the issue.
Okay.
And then after the two of them speak,
right,
we will discuss it because there is an alternative.
Okay.
To what's being said.
Sounds good.
To Sam Guy, please.
This is an interesting evening. I'm so glad that these students are here. While you were in this room, students, there was a man who spoke named County Councilman Penrose Howard. And he spoke and he expressed some things that you all really aren't familiar with, because you haven't really been on the earth long enough to be familiar with what he's familiar with. He's got to be approaching 80 years old. And in the county, there's no way in the world any community's park is taken by anybody. You just don't come and take a park from a community.
Whole park.
Open space is the trend. And in the urban area, there's very little open space. So after Mr. Howland spoke and he walked down that aisle and went to the lobby, the mayor's number 2 man in the office, sitting over there in the corner, went, and because I was back there, went and bum rushed, basically. He didn't touch him, but he bum rushed him all up in his face, putting his finger in his face because he disagreed with what County Councilman Howland said. Now, I know you all may disagree with what County Councilman Howland said, but you all may not know what happened out there. What's going on in this city is what I call monopoly in operation. And it's a white supremacy is what's ruling the day. You all are right to want to have a field. The school district is responsible for you having one. I used to teach. Every kid that ever had me for math read Brown v. Board of Education. They won't let you read Brown v. Board of Education so that you can actually see what has happened to people just like you over time. They don't want to be responsible for finding the land for you to have what you're supposed to have. I don't see one football player that's white here. Are there white football players on the team? Well, there should be here too. But see, your faces are being put here, and you're being asked.
Councilman Guy, please direct your comments to
support, in a sense, oppressing the children who have a park. That was before you all was born, that was a baseball field with bleachers that was part of the park. And they took the park, they put a fence on the park. That's some gangster stuff that nobody don't have no business doing in the neighborhood. They have you all believing that it's your park. It's not your park. It's your park in your heart. The community shared it with you, but the school district don't have no business using you all, pitting you against the mostly black residents on the east side, be using you. You're right for what you want, but you're not supposed to come and help people take from a neighborhood. There's no other neighborhood where they would come and try to take something. And that fence, Kevin Kelly, he didn't take the lock off the fence. How you gonna have a lock on a fence for a public park? It's there right now. I took a picture of it. I'm tired of monopoly. I believe in operation. Operation means things to make life for the residents, the community, and your guests in the east side. You're guests of the east side. But they're posting you up as joining them because they're weak. The people who run the school district, they don't care nothing about the community, or they'd have been and bought some land for you to have all of the facility that you need to have. And they don't care nothing about the Wilmington
30
community
seconds, Mr. Guy.
because we don't even have a public school district in Wilmington. That's a whole nother issue. We don't even have a school district.
20 seconds.
So I'm not for this white supremacy stuff with these collaborators and sellouts trying to take everything. Now they just took the TV station. It's all about
You have 5 seconds, Mr. Guy.
But yet there's $3.4 million
Your time, Mr. Guy.
that hasn't been paid back.
Your time. Thank
I'm
you.
sick of this fool.
Councilman Adams.
Yes, Madam
Now,
President,
you
thank
just heard
Wow.
Councilman Sam Guy. But what you did not really notice, I hope you noticed, the whole time Mr. Guy was talking, you heard 2 females in the back trying to distract him. One of them is the city council
Thank you,
president,
Mr. Madam President.
She constantly tried to discredit people like Mr. Guy. And also, it was Aunt B. Oliver trying to tell him he got 3 minutes, you got 2 minutes. They don't want the message out.
Actually, she's the representative in my district.
Well,
Wow.
she's also the representative for Howard Career Center. She's the one that's going around now talking about how she defeated the community and with Howard High using the kids as a weapon. But what we need to listen to give us the last bit of our background is Vass Turner, and then we will have an answer for all this. Thank you.
Let's do a history lesson on this whole situation. First and foremost, you know, I'm all for the kids of Howard having a practice field, but the original plans of them getting a practice field wasn't them getting a practice field. It was about them getting a stadium. They were the original plan where they were trying to build a stadium in Kirkwood Street Park. Once there was resistance from the community about that with the parking issues, because I was at the first meeting, parking issues, which is hard to come by as it is. Then next thing you know, it went to, okay, we're going to just do the practice field. Now we're at the practice field, but it was about the hours of the community. They weren't going to get that. So Howard gets the practice field, but no one in the community gets anything else. So originally, it was about taking the whole park, and now it's about taking a piece of the park and blocking people out that already been blocked out, already had a gate on it. They didn't have a lease prior to that, and now when they have a lease, oh, we're going to open it up to everybody else. But for the last 20 years that it hasn't had a lease, it's been locked off from the community, and we haven't wanted to discuss anything with the community about how to access that piece of the park.
Wow.
So I agree. One thing about this council that I've been screaming about is let's stop rushing legislation without discussion. We can discuss things. One thing about this administration that the reason you get the pushback that you're getting is because there's a fight between the history and the future of the Wilmington Delaware. The history doesn't want to let go or don't want to just be pushed away without being inclusive in the upbringing of the city of Wilmington. The future doesn't give a darn about the history. So until you are on either side of this fence and want to come to the table and let's all participate in the upbringing of the city of Wilmington, you're going to have a fight like we just did in the hallway from a person that should not have been doing that. But until you want to talk to the people that have the history of Wilmington, Delaware, to include us in the upbringing of this city of Wilmington, you are going to have a problem. And it's an issue. It's an issue on this council. It's an issue in the city of Wilmington. It's an issue in our state. We do want to see revitalization. We do not want to see gentrification. And that's the first time that I said that word since I've been on council, but now it's starting to feel like that, and we have to change that. Thank you.
As Vass Turner just said,
Councilman Guy.
the term is gentrification.
Wow.
Now we can get to the gist of it. All right? What's happened now in Wilmington with the Howard situation is, in your district council representative, Ampy Oliver, she's representing the bad guys, to be very blunt about it. Instead of attacking the neighborhood attacking the school, the neighborhood and the school need to come together and go to the Newcastle County VOTEC board.
Okay.
Because there is land.
Okay.
Right across the bridge, right across the Brandywine, probably 150 feet away, is the old Diamond Salvage. This land was deemed was deemed polluted.
The old junkyard.
The old junkyard, yeah. But they've cleaned it up. The land has been restored. It's enough land there for Howard to have a real stadium.
Right.
Now that land was made habitable by city tax money and county tax money.
We're all taxpayers.
So why can't the school do something that help not just Howard and the community also? A stadium in that part, in your neighborhood, a stadium, a real stadium.
Yeah.
That maybe the neighborhood could use too, along with the school. Yeah. Brown's Boys Club is right there also.
Yeah.
They could also benefit from this stadium.
Former PAL, is that
Yes.
police, former police athletic league? I think
Is that the name of it?
Yeah, it could be different now.
Over where Reed's Refuge is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Reed's Refuge is there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things there, but Howard doesn't need a
I
field.
think that was probation and parole.
Howard needs a stadium. And all of a sudden, 200,000 came up from out of nowhere to fix the field. If they can pull 200,000 out there, then they should be able to pass legislation so Howard can have access to that land over there. See, the problem with the gentrification is we have a mayor that's going around buying up all the land, giving the land to the land banks, starting corporations that are defaulting, this, that, and the other, at the expense of our taxpayers, not just our minority taxpayers. The water bills have increased enormously.
I think I watched a portion of his city council. I think he's proposed 3.8%.
It goes up to 7.
Oh, as for water, and again, this information is there for you to see it. I want to make sure that's understood. You know, anything that we talk about, we can pull up the information. So.
Yeah, they can go to WITN22.org.
Okay.
Shout out to them for the recording city council footage.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, along with this year, what the mayor's done with the gentrification, they're selling our things that make the city money, and that's part of the gentrification program. They sold Salesianum, they sold Banner Stadium to Salesianum. Now they want to privatize another tax, something else that's giving revenue to the city, which is our parking lots. Now, why would you take something that's making the city money and sell it to a private entity? For the gentrification process to take place, the private sector has to come in and buy up everything. The city has to almost be broke, and that's what they're trying to do. Right now, there's a group called WHP, Wilmington Housing Project. Now, the city of Wilmington signed a bond for $3.4 million with Chase Bank. Now, what has happened since then is the mayor has a group headed by Rob Buccini and some more of his associates.
Not to cut you off, I think isn't there a little history there with Brzezinski and Buccini? Isn't this like a conflict of interest? Like this sounds like a little bit of a conflict of interest a little bit. It just
I'm not sure, but I do know this here. All these jobs, I don't think they're being bid. I'm not sure, so I don't want to, but I can say it, even though I'm not sure. I think they're being awarded to Buccini. All right? Now, the WHP was given $3.4 million loan by the city of Wilmington to fix up houses in your district, in the 3rd district.
Okay.
There's 150 houses being set that haven't been done because the WHP went bankrupt.
Oh.
And I've been in 3 meetings. I have been in 3 meetings with the mayor when the mayor said there's no way of getting this money back. That this $3.4 million is lost. And when at the meeting I said, well, can't we sue them? At the meeting I asked, well, what assets do they have? And all this has to go, they don't know yet, they're telling us. But then, since then, our city treasurer came up with a plan where we can pay this $3.4 million that is due in September off. Right now, the city of Wilmington is paying $10,000 a month, and we've already paid $90,000 on this bond issue. But the mayor wants a 20-year bond be paid.
Check the mic, the cord. All right, talking to it.
The mayor wants a 20-year bond payback. And this is hard for me to understand. Why would you take a loan that can be paid off in September and stretch the payments out for 20 years? And that money got $1.2 million turned into almost $9 million with the payments. Now, why would a mayor want to put a 20-year bond on a city residence to pay an extra $7 million for a group that he started? I don't understand why he would want to do this, but unless he doesn't have the city's best interest at heart. But what I suggest, and I do have the city's best interest at heart, that Buccini Polling Group be denied any money or any jobs with the city of Wilmington until the 3.4 is paid back. We've already given them, I don't know how many, like $12 million was invested in the stadium, and we get nothing from that stadium. No tax dollars. There were no jobs. There was nothing. When the stadium deal went through, there was no deal on who would work there, how many would work there, or anything.
Isn't the port privatized?
They're privatizing all the city's wealth and giving it to private entities.
I wonder if the port. I'm not sure.
Yes,
but if the port was privatized under this mayor's administration.
I believe it was. They just signed a deal with the Arabs to do that, to buy a portion of our port.
Do you have a name of the?
I don't know it offhand, but we will discuss it and we will research it.
Okay.
On this program. This is the first podcast. Anytime we have questions, we will research them. Eventually, we will have a phone-in line. And if we have questions, we will research them to the best of our knowledge. What we are trying to do is get our look on it. Right now, with no TV stations that's looking at for the city of Wilmington residents, we all going to have to podcast and do things.
Yeah, we need this in the city of Wilmington, man. We just need to just talk about things because if you're looking at it ecliptically, if you look at it on the outside looking in, it does look a little funny. It looks like the city is it's definitely the city is changing, but it doesn't look like there's really any.
How they gonna make money from these private organizations?
Any incentive for the city?
If they were like parking authority. Yeah. My dad worked at parking authority.
Yeah. Shout out to Big Hun. Rest in peace.
Yeah. So how will the city make money off a private organization where they was making? Because how much is the deal for the stadium over by Sally's? How much is the city getting from that? What's that? $1 for 100 years or something?
What they trying to do is give away all the assets of the city.
Yeah,
that's part of the gentrification process.
But you can't make money though.
They're not. They want the private. See, what we have to understand is we have a mayor and people in his administration, and they want the money. They don't want you to have any money.
Yeah.
They're selling Wilmington on the ideal that people can come here from wherever you want to come, and you can party in Wilmington. It's a big party in Wilmington, and the mayor and his people are going to see to it. The Rodney Square issue is one of the most grievous, racist things I've seen in my lifetime of 70 years.
Yeah. Doesn't Rodney Square have a history anyway? If we go back around the turn of the 20th century, slavery in Delaware, I think, was abolished in 1913. Third to last state, I believe, to abolish slavery here. So I think Rodney Square has a little bit of a history. I want to look into that a little bit, but I believe Rodney Square has a.
I think you might want to say what you want to say.
Yeah, say that.
Yeah, but
Rodney Square used to have them things in it.
Yeah, I believe whipping post.
Yes,
they used to have the whipping post.
The whipping post here, and
remember they still had the bottom part when we were young.
Yeah,
the part you stick your arms ahead. Come on,
Delaware, man.
All right, so the reality of it is, they want to gentrify. They want to go back to the way things were.
Yeah.
And I remember when I couldn't go on Woolworths 5 and 10 on 9th and Market and sit down and have a fountain soda.
Wow.
See, I remember what it was like, and it was not that long ago.
Yeah.
You know, I see it now, where they're displacing people out of the city. They took a bunch of people, the handicapped, people that didn't have automobiles, people that were old, people that just need transportation to go to work every day.
Yeah.
And they put their main mode of transportation 12, 20 blocks away.
Yeah.
Rodney Square has been a hub that's needed. You need an inside city hub where you can take the people to and fro so they can go to their jobs.
It was surprising. It seems like surprising that DART signed off on that, because it's not like DART was not benefiting. You know, listen, solicitation and things of that nature. I mean, I can understand, you know, not having a whole bunch of people just standing around for nothing or whatever. But I mean, mostly, man, Rodney Square, where all the buses, man, it was really easy for the sides of town just to collaborate there. People could come there.
People played chess there.
Yeah, it was a tragedy, man.
And what they've done there was on purpose.
Yeah.
There's police officers there every day now.
Yeah.
and there wasn't any there.
Yeah.
And they could have handled that little problem that they did have.
Yeah.
But see, the problems that we have in the city of Wilmington, a lot of them can be solved.
Yeah.
But we don't want to solve them. We want to banish them. And Rodney Square is a real atrocity. I mean, I can't, it's unimaginable. I walk. I actually walk. And when you walk from the train station to 8th and Market, I feel it.
Yeah.
And I see people on canes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I see people that are old.
Yeah, I see that too. I see
Yeah.
a lot of
Riding the buses.
older people like walking
People
up
getting
the
around in their
hills
electric
and-
wheelchairs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
electric
yeah,
wheelchairs
all
on the
that.
buses.
Yeah.
You can see people with bicycles on the buses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to inconvenience a group of people, and then the mayor said, we're going to put $700,000 for beautiful fountains. Now it's $7 million. Now they're going to put $7 million in Rodney Square. Do you know what $7 million would do to help any one of these communities?
Yeah.
Open up a community center.
Yeah.
How much money would what good all these young men we have in the city of Wilmington, they're having problems.
Yeah.
They're disenfranchised.
'Cause
All
we-
the training you can do with
we
$7
do have a
million.
lot of problems.
You know what I mean? There are no programs. But what you have to do now, as a community and as the city of Wilmington, we need to go to our city council meetings because everything this mayor does has to be passed by the city council. And there's a gang in the city council that will pass anything he says. Anita Shabazz, Ampy Oliver, Michelle Harley,
Calling out names.
Bud Field, Loretta Walsh, and this new chick. They're guaranteed votes for the mayor.
Oh man.
And they will pass anything and everything he says that is against their own community. Now, if you're in a community, if any of these people are your city council representatives, then you need to check them.
Yeah.
You need to go to the meetings. When they passing this crap, you need to be sitting in the audience
Yeah.
because no one's in there.
I think it's another important thing that we put out there is the understanding of this identity politics, kind of, and identifying with a brand or a name, for example. So, you know, we have people that call themselves, quote, Republicans and, quote, Democrats. But across those lines of Republican and Democrats, there are different forms of these. There, in the Republican Party, they're moderates. They're called rhinos. When you look at the Democratic Party, you look at more corporate Democrats, as we call those blue dogs. And the reason I'm bringing this up is it's very important to understand this. You know, you could have representatives in the party lines cross over and say, hey, a straight Republican, because Brzezinski's policies are, in my studying and understanding of looking at politics, it looks very Republican-like, man. The decreasing of the budget, the privatizing of, the bringing in privatization of certain areas, a park, and the type of things they do. We look at this as like almost Republican kind of political strategies, you know. But,
he is Republican.
You know, but he ran as a Democrat. So what I want people to understand is, you know, we need to do more when we hear our representatives speak. Anybody can say anything out of their mouth. Anybody can say anything, but how do they legislate?
That's the
We don't have legislators. We don't. You know, we just have people that just identity politics and too much politicking, not enough legislation. Too much politicking, not enough legislation. I'll leave it at that, Uncle. Sorry.
One thing you said that lit my fire, you talked about the parties. The Republican Party and the Democratic Party. To be truthful, as a man of color in America,
Yeah, it shouldn't.
none of those parties are mine. And what I believe that people of color in America, we all need to withdraw from both parties and start our own party, independent party.
Independent party for, and listen,
For not just blacks.
for our podcast listeners and our watchers. I don't think many Africans came off the boat worrying about race.
That was not a factor. No, I have to say this.
I don't think
I do have a white hero.
I
I have a couple white heroes. I have to admit it.
Oh, I remember.
John Brown.
Yeah, I knew you was gonna.
And his family.
Yeah, John Brown.
John Brown.
And his family. They died for us.
Yeah.
The abolitionists.
Yeah. What's up, Bernie Sanders?
You know what I mean? They died for us. So what we have to do, we have to back. If we, as a people, if we can go to any group, the Republicans or the Democrats, and say that we have a party and we hope we control these many votes, then what we have to do, as you were saying, we have to put our power behind the issue. And what legislation they're going to do for us. And then that way there we can help a Republican, we can help a Democrat. But as of today, neither the Democrats or the Republican are helping poor whites, disenfranchised whites, the newcomers in America, or us.
Yeah, definitely.
Americans of African descent.
Yeah. I mean, it's important to, I hear some people sometimes talk about history and how history is not important, but, you know, history, I mean, I think that's 3 syllables, but you can look at it as his story. So people kind of tell their story the way they like to look at things. But one thing I do understand is that at one point, I believe in this country, our government was called the Democratic Republic, and I believe it was all one word. When we look at a democratic and republic, they are 2 very different things. I mean, I could go down the rabbit hole with this, and we don't have enough time for all that, but it's important. Too much identity politics. We're not talking about the right things. We're not doing the right things. I look around the city a lot. I'm not much of a talker, but it's been too much talking. You can see it, the eyes, the actions of the people. The city seems to be very, very like unhappy right now. That's what it looks like to me. It's like a very unhappy city, and it's our civic duty to put this information out, man, to talk about these things, to educate ourselves, so that, you know, when we go and we sit in front of city council and these mayors and these different people who are, it seems almost classism, almost like it's classism. We got these people look down on these people. I mean, of course, it's been like that for a very long time since yeah, definitely. Times are changing, though. Times are changing, and what it seems like progression is fighting conservatism. It's like, you know, the money, a lot of the money is old, man. A lot of money is old. A lot of people don't have money, man. A lot of money is old, man. And it seems, you know, more that the people with money are kind of looking at it like we have money and don't have money, and we are fighting. We are trying to conserve. We're conservative or whatever. We are trying to conserve idealism, possibly a way of life. And you look at the next and you see the youth, the next generations, the progression, because progress and progression is natural. So it seems kind of interesting in the city of Wilmington, possibly in the state of Delaware. So.
Well, the city of Wilmington is being run by a Democrat, supposedly.
Blue Dog. Blue Dog.
Our governor, he's a corporate governor under the guise of being a Democrat.
Corporate Democrat. Blue Dog,
now,
y'all.
What we have to do somewhere along the line, all of us, each and every one of us.
Yes.
We need to do our civic duty.
Yes, we do.
We need to go into the city council meeting rooms and make them people look at you when they pass this legislation against you.
Yeah.
We need to say something to our preachers. Now, we're not going to be here all day, but I have to make this statement. I ask people all the time when they're in church, what civic issues are they discussing? And I get Jesus. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not none of that kind of stuff.
And we're not here.
But I do believe in God.
We're not here to shoot you. We're not here to shoot you down. We're just, you know, look. We're here to civic duties. We're trying to talk about the important things.
When I go to different meetings at Rodney Square, I've heard several people talk about that they can't get to church on time. They can't do this. I don't see any preachers or their congregations being involved in anything. In the 50s. And in the 60s, when I grew up, we were always involved in something. We were always doing something. Age 15, I was in NAACP. By age 20, I was in the Black Liberation Army. But I was always involved in doing something about trying to help our people. See, that money you were talking about, that's the new God.
It's on the dollar bill, y'all. And God we trust. On the dollar. It's on our money.
That's who they worship now.
Yeah, it's on our money.
You know, and these people that keep doing the work of the oppressor and they look like us, they're traitors.
Yeah.
And they need to be called that.
Yeah.
And they need to be treated like traitors to their race.
Wasn't historically wasn't what back in the 50s or 40s or 50s it was pretty difficult for people of color to walk through certain parts of the city, right? I mean, I think Wilmington has a little bit of a history. I don't know. They say history repeats itself.
The National Guard.
Yeah.
We
and
can talk
I think
about that.
yeah.
How long that lasts?
That'll be another program.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
occupation, if you will.
Yeah.
Yes, we've gone through army occupation.
Yeah.
We've gone through it all.
Yeah.
But through it all, we've tried to keep our communities together, and now they're being torn apart with the help of people that look like us in our city council.
Wow.
And in reality, we used to have something. I remember about a year ago, I was upset, and I got real upset when I saw Hanifa Shabazz give Stephanie Bolden a job. And the woman had 2-3 jobs already, and whatever. And I know that job should went to somebody else. And I stopped a member of the ethics committee in the hallway. And I said, "Well, isn't this wrong?" And he said to me, "Well, it's not illegal." And since then, the ethics committee, on a unanimous vote,
Right.
voted away all their power and all their power to prosecute and all the fines that they could hand forth.
Yeah.
So who do you go to when you have a corrupt government? The press is imprinting it. They've controlled. They got the little local TV station out of. We have to vote them out,
Yeah. That's
and we have to start it now.
yeah. It's the only thing we can. It seems the only thing we can do is get them out of office, man. We can't. It's
But if we vote them out, who's going to run against them?
yeah.
A clone of them?
Man, they don't teach civics anymore in they just don't teach civics anymore in high school or anything, man. We just are people every day go and work 8 or 10 hours to try to survive out here, man. Take care of your families. I really do understand, but we still need to do more researching for ourselves. We do need to be more involved in our communities, in our politics. And one thing that we all need to do possibly is take a second look at the law books in the state of Delaware, man, and see exactly Delaware has a nice history here, man. It's what was it, a Union state that stayed with the Union in the Civil War. A Southern state that did not secede from the Union. However, it was a Southern state. And if you go beyond Newcastle County, and it's still very, 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 very a Southern state. I believe Newcastle County is influenced by more the former quote unquote Union states, Pennsylvania. So we're very influenced by Pennsylvania and their news and stuff. But I mean, Delaware has a history here, y'all. We really need to we need to wake up a little bit. We need to wake up a little bit. Okay, all right, you're right.
Yeah, it's time to wake up a lot.
We need to wake up, man, and really back to what civic duty is all about for our podcast listeners and followers, man. We just want people to understand that no minority, European American, whatever you would like to call yourself, if you are here in the city of Wilmington, you are a taxpayer, and you pay taxes for the commons, for trash pickup, for many different things. Taxes, actually, it's interesting when you hear people talk about they don't raise taxes. Everybody can look at something a little differently. Actually, you look at other nations around here that have higher tax rates, but with their higher tax rates comes free health care and many different things. The commons, the goods for the people. So, we need to stop. We're not going to raise taxes. We're not going to raise taxes. Again, that seems to be a political ploy by certain.
They raised the water bills.
Yeah. you know. And we need to really look at our city. We need to look at each other. No color, no anything, man. And we just really need to look at we're taxpayers, man. It's our civic duty. We have the right to know what the budget is about, what things are going on. I remember watching a little bit of one of the city county, I believe one of the meetings, and I think it was one with the auditor, and it was interesting. One of the auditors, one of the representatives of that entity stated how they tried to contact the mayor's office, I believe, to get information, and you know, they weren't given the information. I mean, if the auditor had some questions, possibly, I believe, about a possible budget, and I mean, they weren't able to get the information from the mayor's office. Why weren't they able to get this information? I when I watched it, I was like, wow. I was kind of like, man, like this is information. I mean, this is interesting. Yeah, this is very interesting.
In my closing, we have a mayor that doesn't listen to anyone. We really do. He doesn't listen to anybody but the ones that support him.
He's a Republican too.
And the policies that they've bring forth, I don't dislike the city's president. I don't city council president. I do not know her personally, but I looked at what she has and has not done.
In fact, we don't know many of these people personally.
And as time to come, I plan on showing you a list of the things that certain city council members have done and what they haven't done.
Yeah.
Right now, the most important thing is that everybody in the city needs to know that $3.4 million that the city does not want us to talk about, the city council cannot pass the mayor's decision to put a 20-year bond that'll cost the city taxpayers $9 million. $9 million to the taxpayers because he wants to give that interest to a banking buddy of his. I cannot think of any other reason why he doesn't want to pay it off. Our general fund has surplus in it. There's a lot of money around that we can do. City of Wilmington is not broke, as they keep trying to say that it is. And with that, I'm about done for our very first podcast, and hopefully we'll get better.
Man, this has been fun. This is a good chance to, again, people, anyone, all our podcast listeners and followers. We need to do our civic duty. We're gonna probably hear us say that a lot. We need to do our civic duty. It's our responsibility as taxpayers to look at this information and see what's going on in our city. And if we see something that looks a little, it's all right to talk about it. We should be able to talk about it, and without having people go out and threaten people and pointing in people's faces and stuff, and actually just like trying to bully people. And one of the tactics that they use, when you try to start saying something, then they send muscle to you and try to quiet you. But I mean, we're taxpayers, y'all. This is important, and this isn't about color. This isn't about this. It's not about that. It's about being taxpayers and doing our civic duty and looking at our city. We all live in a city, whether you live over there or we live over here, and there's many reasons for a lot of things. We could go on, and there's so many topics that we could discuss, but it's our civic duty to get out here and talk about the city of Wilmington, what's going on, and continue to hopefully bring this information to the people so that possibly we can make a change. And it starts right here in our city. It starts right here in our local government. So with that being said, man, civic duty. What's up, Unc?
That's it. That's a wrap.